401k hardship withdrawals are on the rise, and the economy slowdown isn't impacting Bike Week. Today, I read an interesting article on Yahoo Finance, put out by MoneyWise and written by Victoria Vizovsky, titled, "A Record Number of Americans Rated Their 401ks for an Emergency in 2023, How That Can Cost You More Than You'd Think." The author of this article referenced the Vanguard Group, which revealed that more Americans are turning to their 401ks for relief from financial burdens. A record 4.8% of account holders made a hardship withdrawal from their retirement savings in 2023 to cover emergencies, which is up from 3.6% the year before. The author indicated about 31 million people went into debt to cover health care costs and collectively borrowed $74 billion. This is according to a Gallup survey. My friends, this is really sad to read about. My heart goes out to these Americans who are struggling financially. Unfortunately, I don't see this getting better anytime soon. The cost of living in America is raging. Many people can no longer afford goods and services because their incomes have not kept pace with how expensive life has gotten in our country. If you think that is going to reverse course anytime soon, I think you are kidding yourself. Getting back to the article, the author went on to talk about how taking a $5,000 withdrawal from a 401k could hurt you in the long run. She said, leaving that $5,000 invested for 20 years could result in it growing to $19,348. Unfortunately, there are Americans that are left with few other options. I'm afraid many people in the middle class are watching their standard of living erode, and some fortunate people have a 401k to rely on. There are countless Americans with no retirement savings at all. Now, I read some of the comments beneath this article. I'll share some of them with you. The first commenter discussed why it is a bad idea to make a hardship withdrawal from a 401k. This person said, "It is a terrible decision to make. You are better off negotiating loan payments. Then, to get quick money, hold a garage sale, pawn stuff, or use social media platforms to sell collectibles and clothing." I see stories on Yahoo News from influencers that sell clothing and make some nice side money. Also, look at your lifestyle. Today, I have cut back on cigarettes and beer. To this day, I have not spent close to $600 in 2025. There's so many ways to avoid tapping into your 401k. The last comment that I'll share with you came from someone who said, when you live beyond your means and cannot save for a rainy day, 401k raids will prevail. Apparently, some motorcycle enthusiasts aren't letting the economy get in their way. I read an interesting article today on foxbusiness.com, written by Aislinn Murphy, titled, "Daytona Beach Bike Week Thrives Despite Some Economic Uncertainty." According to the author, Daytona Beach, Florida is in the midst of a bustling Daytona Bike Week despite economic uncertainty. This area will experience an influx of $100 million thanks to the hundreds of thousands of motorcycle enthusiasts attending the festivities. It is the 84th anniversary of Bike Week this year. The author went on to say, the motorcycles available at Bike Week cost anywhere from $12,000 to $60,000. Here are my thoughts. I'm glad people are out enjoying their motorcycles at Bike Week. I hope they stay safe. I personally have zero interest in owning a motorcycle. There are too many drivers distracted by screens on the dash of their car or their cell phones. When I drive down the highway, I often see motorists who are driving while glued to their smartphones. They are doing 70 or 80 miles per hour while reading a text or sending a text. I really think this is going to get worse. There are some young people who refuse to answer a phone call or make a phone call. They just want to communicate by text. And I'm afraid some don't care about the dangers of texting while driving. If there are any police officers watching this video, I'd love to hear your thoughts about this in the comment section below. Perhaps you've pulled some people over for texting. It's scary enough to be in a car when people are engaged in this type of behavior, but I feel bad for people on motorcycles who are even more exposed to the dangers from distracted drivers. I want to share my thoughts about what the author said relating to Bike Week thriving despite economic uncertainty. There are some people in America who love their toys. It doesn't matter if we are talking about motorcycles, four-wheelers, side-by-sides, dirt bikes, boats, or jet skis. They will find a way to have one, even if that means risking bankruptcy. Decades ago, after high school, I worked at a factory to save money for college. I worked there for almost 2 years. Every day in the lunchroom, the conversations mostly revolved around Harley-Davidson motorcycles. These guys would discuss things they were buying to modify their existing motorcycles, and they would talk about the next motorcycle purchase that they wanted to make. Some of these guys lived in shacks, but they had expensive motorcycles. There was a day when a new guy rode his import sport bike to the factory, and some of the other guys taught him a lesson. They hooked a big yellow strap around that motorcycle and raised it up so it was dangling over an empty loading dock. They didn't want those kinds of bikes around. They were sending a clear message that you were not going to ride anything other than a Harley to work. It was a rough crew that I worked with back then. Many of the guys were ex-cons, and they would talk about the time they did. You definitely had to watch your step because some of those guys had nothing to lose. On the topic of prison, I read an interesting article today on CNN Business, written by Jordan Valinsky, titled, "Sam Bankman-Fried Describes His Relationship with Diddy in Jail." The author referenced Sam Bankman-Fried, the crypto fraudster who is serving 25 years in prison. Apparently, he has made friends with P. Diddy in prison. He said Diddy has been kind to him. Sam Bankman-Fried said that he and Diddy are the two most famous prisoners in the world. Here are my thoughts. I'm not sure being the most famous prisoners in the world is something to brag about. There could be a prisoner with nothing to lose who would like to make a name for himself by assaulting one of these famous people. If any of you have been in prison or worked in a prison, perhaps you could chime in about this in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to the channel. I want to extend a special thanks to everyone who has subscribed to this channel. I want to also thank all of my channel members. If you would like to become a channel member, there is a link in the description beneath this video. You can read more about the different membership levels. Please also check out some of the great books that I suggest you consider reading in the description below. I've included Amazon affiliate links to these books. As an Amazon associate, I earn from qualifying purchases. Stay healthy and wealthy. I'll see everyone in the next video.